Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Builds by Bailey. I've been a little busy over the last couple of weeks when I haven't uploaded. As you can see, the dash is in the Corolla. So I'm going to walk you through the steps that it took for me to figure this puzzle out to get all of that stuff put in. So as you can see, we've got the dash all in. I've got the bottom half in, the top half already got put in. I had to cut out around each side of the bars to make everything work like it should. It was very difficult, so I'm going to go ahead and dismantle it real quick to then show you exactly what I had to do on each side. Okay, as you can see, I had to cut around the posts at the bottom and at the top to make everything work on here. I still have to trim this little section right here, and I'm going to show you how I did it in just a second. We're going to take that piece out, but I had to trim all around this. In order to keep this mounting position right here, I had to cut it sideways so we could snake out this tube and we could get it right down into where it needed to be at. And then there's another piece of trim that comes right over this and goes over this area here that we're going to have to trim out just a little bit on the side, and it'll look good. But yeah, it's only got one center support in it now. We had to trim that, as you can see at the top of it, the metal support, but everything else worked, and this thing's really solid, like it's not going anywhere. So I was really happy with how that turned out. I am going to have to make a couple of spacers for the steering wheel because it needs to sit down just a little bit more. Okay, as you can see over here, I've got a spot marked where it was touching too much on the inside here, and this is how I basically started trimming everything out. This up here has been trimmed out with the same die grinder and all that stuff. I've got a burr bit on the end, just a straight die grinder from Harbor Freight. These work really well, and you can get them with a lifetime warranty on them. So if they wear out, you just go back and trade it in and get another one. It doesn't cost you anything. They're like $10. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to trim this out real quick. I've got my safety gear on. Make sure to protect your eyes because this stuff will fly and hit you in the face. And that's about all you've got to do. Once you found out about how deep it has to go, that's about it. Just cut the little section there and then put it back in the car. Okay, as you can see, I've got the steering wheel dropped pretty far. I actually had to disconnect it down there at the bottom where it actually goes into the body. I've got it disconnected on most of that so it'll sit down as low as it can because I've got to clear this big post over here on the side. So in order to do this, got to tip up the front, which I don't know if I could do it with a windshield in it or not. I tip up the front, snake this around, and you'll hear it pop into place. Now I've had to shave the tabs down at the bottom, well you can't really see, but I had to shave the tabs down at the bottom so it would fit in between the cage and the door. I had to fit all that as tight as I could. And trim it all up, and then right where the little switch is for the vents, that's where I was able to cut that out so that the X-brace that's coming out of the forward bar, where you could make that come through the dash at that point. Okay. And the little area that we just made, the little groove, there's plenty of clearance around it. It actually doesn't even touch now. So all of my other points are lining up where it's supposed to, where it was a little tight before. That's all lining up like it should. So that was the last little thing that I had to cut to make fit. Now the bracket on the inside, the metal one over here, I actually need to take it out real quick and trim a little bit off of it. Gonna use the same metal burr bit, cut that little section off of it, put it back in, and then we should be able to start fitting up the top so we can start working on that part. Okay, so I went ahead and as you can tell, I got it all put back together. You can see there's where the relief cut was at to go around this bar here. So I got all of it put back together. I even went ahead and trimmed out the metal piece inside here. As you can tell, it clears all the way around it. You'll see better from this side. Clears all the way around it now, so there's a nice gap on all sides. We don't want anything to touch, so whenever we paint it, nothing gets scratched or anything like that. And also, we don't want it to make any funky noises when we're actually driving the car. We don't want to hear like scratching sounds and screeches and stuff like that when we slide it into a turn. So, yeah. So I can't emphasize enough whenever you go to put the dash pad on, when you go to make the cuts on that side and on this side over here to clear around the bar, take your time because you can make it look really bad, and I've seen lots of bad ones out there. But also whenever you go to measure it, make sure you set it up on there and then you measure straight back into the car, the direction that it's going to slide, because you want it to slide up over onto it. So if you put it at like an angle, it's not going to go up on there and you're going to have to cut that section out like really big. And you don't want to do that. You want it to look as good as you possibly can. So here's how I did the top pad. So I went ahead and I rested the top dash pad up against the bar, and then I came over to the side, and when it's in position, I measured straight back from where it was going to be at. So you can see it comes straight back, and I want to be really close on the inside. The outside I didn't care as much about, but on the inside I want to be as close as I possibly could. Now this isn't the exact position that it sits in. It actually sits right where it needs to, but make sure you get really good measurements from the A-pillar up on the side over to where the actual bar is at, so you know what the distance is there, and then measure in between the two bars from that one and this one over here so you know what the distance is between the dash pad. So that way you get it cut as best as you can on the first try, because nothing looks worse than a really big hole that you're going to have to try and fill later if you want it to look as best as it possibly can. Okay, now you see I've got the dash put back in, and this is where you want to make sure that you don't cut it too wide, because I'm going to need to come in with some kind of filler to fill in this hole. So what I'm going to do is I have to cut this rust out anyways, because it's actually made a hole down here at the bottom. So I'm going to cut this out, and then I'm actually going to make a piece that follows along the top and then goes down and then welds into the bar. If it doesn't weld into the bar, then it'll come back and weld in at the bottom down here. So you can still take the dash out, but there'll be a filler piece that lines up with this. But so that also brings me to the next point. You see how wide this gap is? It's not supposed to be that wide. And it's not the same all the way across. So it gets skinny and it gets long. And if you look at it from the side, it's actually taller than the car is. So I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So I've bought some fiberglass Bondo. They call it tiger hair. I'm going to chop this down with the grinding wheel and lower it down to below this surface here. And then I'm going to shape a new shape with that tiger hair all the way across the front end of this. Now you might think I'll have a big dip in this section. Well, no, because this end right here actually lifts up. So once I get that, I'll get that down, and then all of this will be smooth all the way up and across. And I'll go over that with lightweight filler and some putty, and it'll be perfect. And then same with this down here. We'll smooth that up and then put that filler on top of that. And then I haven't decided yet or not if I'm just going to paint it or if I'm going to flock it. Put down in the comments below which you think I should do. If I should just paint it or if I should flock it. If I paint it, it'll be flat black. If I flock it, it'll be flock black. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Builds by Bailey. I know it was a short one. I didn't really show you guys a whole lot of what I'm doing. But at least you know that the dash is in. and the next step is about to start. That was a really big puzzle, and to video it while I was doing it, I would have had like 10 hours worth of footage for me to edit and make down into a small video. So I figured I'll just make an overview. So I hope you guys like that. If you didn't, let me know down in the comments below. And we'll try something different next time. The car is registered and it is accepted into Riverside car meets, which is actually not this weekend, but next weekend. So March 10th, come out and see this car at Riverside car meets in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'll have it there. It'll be there all day long. Come find me, pick my brain about the car. I'll tell you anything and everything you want to know about it. There's a lot of cool cars that are going to be there too. I've had the privilege of working with the guys that run it a little bit this year. So the stuff that's coming, it's primo. You're going to like it. So come. The entrance fee, I believe, is free. The only thing you have to pay for is parking. I think that's $10. So as many people as you can get in your car, pile them up, bring them out, have some fun, eat some food, hang out with friends, and see some cool cars. Yeah, so that's gonna do it for me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends.